So it's been about 6 months since we put our last video out, and a lot has changed since then. If for anyone who knows us in our regular lives, will be well aware of what's been going on, but for those who only follow us through the Zoom and Betty page, Betty and I separated back in November 2024, so it was somewhat unexpected for me, but we are on good terms and we still love each other dearly and we're important in each other's lives, but we're going separate ways in life. So there was intention that she was going to help film something as a bit of a send-off for me, because like I said, we're still getting along really well. And in fact, last night before I set off on my adventure, Betty and her new partner stayed at the house as well. So we're still fine to be around each other and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, we just didn't get time for her to film a little bit before I hit the road. So basically it's been a big 6 months with lots and lots of stuff going on, but nothing that's super worthy of chucking up on the channel. There is obviously going to have to be changes for the channel to continue because of the name of it, basically. It's always been myself that did all of the filming and the editing and everything like that. Anytime anyone was talking to us through the emails or through the pages or whatever, most of you know that it was me running that anyways. Betty was obviously super involved with being in videos and supporting me doing it, but it was mostly my jam and she was just along for the ride. So things will continue to be somewhat the same, and it just will be one person short for the foreseeable future. If you have ideas about what I should change the name of the channel to, please let me know below, because I've been thinking about it for 6 months and the best I've been able to come up with is The Adventures of Zoom, which isn't super exciting, but maybe that is for the best to just have that continuation on so everyone knows what's going on. Moving on from all of that, because let's just look ahead to the future. In terms of our homestead dreams, again, we did it together, but that was kind of mostly I was driving a lot of that. The big question is, do I keep the house and continue on, or do we sell the house and I start somewhere fresh? Betty has moved back to Melbourne, so it's been just myself in the house for the last 6 months anyways, for the most part. But again, we bought that house in Betty's hometown, and my friends and family and support network generally are sort of hours away. So it's a great town, I really love it, but it's not where my people are. So it's kind of a bit lonely being there by myself all the time. So I can't decide. I really can't decide, which is the reason that I'm taking off on a trip. So for the next few months, I'm going to be exploring parts of Australia that I've never been to before, most notably South Australia, Northern Territory and Western Australia, because I've just never been to those places before. I'm starting off the trip today. So I've hit the town of Dimboola for the night. I was planning on staying in the Little Desert National Park, but if any of you are in Victoria, you probably are aware that massive bushfires ripped through the Little Desert National Park about the same time as fires hit the Grampians. So around Boxing Day, Christmas last year, fires just destroyed everything. And where we are in the Grampians, things have really sprung back to life really quickly, and everything's back open again and all that sort of jazz. But up here, I was surprised when I got here to realise that the campsite I planned to stay at is closed to the public because the devastation has just not improved that much since the fires ripped through. So it was a bit of a crazy sight to see it all, but also kind of cool in a really eerie way. There was no animals around still. This is 6 months down the track, but there was some signs of vegetation starting to come back on some of the trees. But yeah, it's having a real rough trot out here, and I think it's probably to do with the soils and stuff like that, stopping it springing back as quickly as what we saw in the Grampians. But it's not my field of expertise. That's just me guessing at what that looks like. So instead, secondary plan, I've gone back into the town of Dimboola, and they've got a free RV park that has just been here. So it's basically just a side section off from their football reserve. So there's a few other RV campers here. You're not meant to be in a tent here. It's only meant to be for RVs and self-contained vehicles, but I'm giving it a crack with the rooftop tent, which is a new addition to my life, which I'm very excited about. So I'm not setting up a proper tent, so I'm hoping that I can probably get away with it without anybody chucking up a bit of a stink. And I've got my own portable toilet and all that sort of stuff, so I'm not going to be taking a dump beside the campsites and making it not nice for future people or anything like that. So hoping I can get away with it. There's a cool pub in town, I've heard, so I might hit that up for dinner. But otherwise, this is what we look like today. So first day on the trip, got on the road, took forever to pack the car for the first visit. But you know what? It's all going to be a learning journey. I'm going to figure out on the way what I needed, what I didn't need. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I just didn't realise because I've never gone camping for longer than a couple of weeks before. And this trip's going to be at least 2 months, but maybe 3. Depends on when I have to go back to work, when I run out of money. So we'll see what the world brings to us. But I'll check back in with you tomorrow because I have a couple of spots on the way as we traverse through the more northern area of Victoria, more northwestern areas of Victoria. Basically, I started out at Ararat, where we live, and have headed north through Horsham, and that's in Dimboola. So we're going to take a swing back to northeast a little bit more and head towards a really cool place I've seen friends be at before. So I'll fill you in when we get there. But I'll check back in with you later. Thanks everyone for all your support all along too. I know that some of you have realised what's going on in our lives and reached out to me just to check in and make sure everything's all right. And for a while there, I really did need that. So I appreciate it. But things are looking pretty good now and we're just moving on with life. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy this trip while I'm doing it. This is Pink Lake, located only 6 kilometres northwest of Dimboola along the Western Highway. The lake gets its name for its vibrant pink salt flat that after the rains becomes a sight to behold. For many years it was assumed that red algae created the pink hue. However, recent research reported by the Australian Geographic describes the colour as a result of a pigment produced by the Selenibacter ruber bacteria. Salt has been harvested from the lake since the 1860s, and on average 20 tonnes a year are harvested by the Mount Zero Olives Company, working in conjunction with the Barangi Lane Council, who are the traditional owners of the area. The lake is located just off the side of the road and has a rest stop with toilets that overlook the flats. Most people visiting will scramble over the fence and down to the flats like I've done today. If you're wondering what the best time is to come and see the colour, the intensity of the colour does vary throughout the year, but it's strongest after the rains wash in fresh nutrients, triggering increased growth of the algae and the bacteria. So my plan was to head to the Snowdrift campsites, but once I got to the entry of the Big Desert Park, which is funny because I've gone from Little Desert to Big Desert, I've realised that there's another campground that's only 5 kilometres away, which was much closer, and it wasn't a 4-wheel drive track. So I thought, you know what, just to have an easy time of it, I'll come down to this one instead, and then I'll go to that tomorrow when I'm on my way out of the place, and check out the sand dunes there, which is what I actually came to this national park for in the first place. But I've got here, and there's not a soul around, so I have this entire campground to myself, and there's fire pits already made and a bunch of people who are obviously previously have left a whole bunch of wood for me to burn, which is great. So I'm gonna have dinner on the fire instead of on the gas burners tonight, which is awesome. They've got some drop toilets here and some running water and stuff like that. The drop toilets are super clean and not smelly at all, so very stoked with this place. The only bad thing about here is that there's just no reception at all, and I bought a Starlink setup and I was going to set that up to use when I didn't have any reception, except I've realised when going to set it up that I actually need reception on my phone to be able to set the Starlink up. So I've probably got a couple of people worried that I've just dropped off the face of the planet today, and didn't tell them I was going to be off-grid because I wasn't aware, but sorry to those people. But yeah, we'll get that sorted tomorrow when I'm back into the land of reception. Editing Zoom checking in. So I never actually ended up going to the sand dunes. I was a little baby at this start of the trip, and my 4-wheel driving skills were next to zero, and I was alone and in an area of the world where I had no reception and no one knew where I was. So I did the smart thing, which was also the scaredy pants thing, and decided to not go to the sand dunes like I planned. So I'm going to go back another time now that I've got my Starlink up and running and people are going to know where I am, and I'm a little bit more confident driving in four-wheel drive areas now than what I was at the start of this trip. So we'll come back to that another day. Anyway, back to it. So sad. That felt like a huge waste. Quarantine station ahead. I'm glad I threw my stuff out because I wasn't 100% certain if they'd actually check, but it looks like they're definitely checking, so we'll see. Well, that was pretty painless. I had to stop and let the quarantine person go all through my car, but I did everything right by dropping off that stuff before I got here, so that was good. And then the police were there and they breathalyzed me, and I was breathing too hard into it. She said go softer, so I had to breathe softer into the thing. It's been like years since I've been breathalyzed, but anyway, all good. Onwards and upwards. Tonight's camping spot is the Holder Bend Camping Reserve on the Murray River, not too far across the border into South Australia, coming from Victoria. This free camping spot has large open spaces for RVs and caravans of any size, as well as easy river access and a boat ramp. So the campsite is not too heavily populated, which is good. There is quite a few people around, which is actually kind of nice for safety reasons, but they're all spread pretty far apart, so we're not in each other's laps, which is really, really cool. I've just gone to the end of the camping area and I found a path that I'm hoping is going to take me to these cliffs at the end, because I want to go check them out because they look really cool from back there. This bit here you can tell is a waterfall, but it's dry at the moment because when you look down here, that would be bloody stunning. Cascading down there, and pelican. For the next week or so of the trip, I stayed with some mates in the Barossa Valley, just north of Adelaide, where they treated me just like the tourist I was and showed me many of the sights around that neck of the woods. One of my favourite places they took me to see was the Whispering Wall of the Barossa Reservoir. And due to the design of the dam, sound travels really easily from one side across 140 metres to the other side of the dam. So much so that a whisper can be heard easily by anyone on the other side. The rest of our time was spent on skate ramps, flying foxes and slides, chocolate factories, and we even snuck in a few visits to wineries, because I'm pretty sure they don't let you leave the Barossa Valley without a few wine tastings under your belt. Subscribe to the channel to join me in the next video as I head north through outback South Australia and into the Northern Territory for the very first time.